Hello everybody, this is Tucker Miller here again, and tonight, like I said, for my next movie review, I'm going to be reviewing on Pinocchio. Came out in 1940. So anyways, let's get to the plot. Well, do I need to explain the plot? Not really, but to those who haven't even seen this film, or even has heard of the story of Pinocchio, I'll tell you. So anyways, plot of this movie is we got this toy maker named Geppetto. Was this character. He works and lives in his workshop where there's a bunch of cuckoo clocks and music boxes. And then meanwhile, Geppetto made this wooden marionette puppet bit, which he named him, of course, Pinocchio, who is our main character, voiced by Dickie Jones. And then meanwhile, Geppetto saw a star and he decided to make a wish, and that wish would be someday Pinocchio can become a real boy. And then meanwhile, the blue fairy came and brought Pinocchio to life. And then the blue fairy told Pinocchio, if he can be true, brave, and unselfish, he will soon become a real boy. A real boy? And then Pinocchio also gets a conscience, who is actually a cricket named Jiminy Cricket, who is voiced by Cliff Edwards. And yeah, so Jiminy Cricket tells Pinocchio what is right and wrong, and so it is up to Pinocchio to get his father's wish come true and become a real boy, and that's basically what the plot is. Now, what could I say about? We have pretty much heard of the story of Pinocchio. You know, when he lies, his nose grows, and then at the end he becomes a real boy. A real boy. So yeah. Now, what could I say about Pinocchio? This is another great classic. Pinocchio is another outstanding masterpiece. Just like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And which we all know this is Disney's second full-length animated film. And this is Disney's second full-length animated feature, right after Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Which that Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was my previous review. Now here I am reviewing on Pinocchio. And Pinocchio. The story is great. The story is great. Has great characters, great songs, really good. Great animation, and this film is a masterpiece. This film is an absolute masterpiece, and Pinocchio is a great film. I used to watch this quite a bit when I was a kid. Not excessively. I didn't watch this film excessively as a kid, but I watched it quite a bit when I was younger. And I thought it was a really good movie. This film is a classic. So, now let's talk about the characters. Pinocchio, he is a great character. Now I have to say, Dickie Jones did a great job voicing him. So Pinocchio is a great character, and Jiminy Cricket Jiminy Cricket is another great character, and I'll have to say Cliff Edwards did a great job voicing him. And yeah. Yeah, and Geppetto is a great character. Figaro, who is the cat, he's a great character. Figaro is a great character, and Creole, who is the fish. Creole is another great character, and the Blue Fairy, she's a great character, and Honest John, who is the fox, he's a pretty good character, Honest John, and yeah, and then so is his sidekick. I forgot what his sidekick's name is, but if you guys know what his sidekick's name is, let me know in the comments below. And then Mr. Stromboli, who is the fat guy who runs the puppet theater, and the one that trapped Pinocchio in the bird cage and threatening to turn him into firewood. I'd say Stromboli's a pretty good character, and the guy that the guy who ruled Pleasure Island, the other villain that ruled Pleasure Island. Sorry, I'm mispronouncing that word, but you know what I get. Who was in charge of Pleasure Island? I was saying the person who brought the idea of sending sending a bunch of boys to Pleasure Island and getting the idea that they don't come back as boys. And yeah, the host of Pleasure Island. So yeah, he's a pretty good villain. And Monstro the Whale, boy, that whale was scary. That whale was pretty scary. I'm not saying I'm afraid. I'm not saying I'm too scared of him, of that whale. But man, his character is scary. That whale was pretty scary. And Wentwave or Wemphy, the boy that Pinocchio met while he was in Pleasure Island. He's a pretty good character, I guess. So, yeah, those are the characters I can think of on top of my head. And, yeah. Yeah, and then let's talk about... So, like I said, those are the characters I can think of on top of my head. Now, are there any scenes I want to talk about? Sure. When the Blue Fairy brought Pinocchio to life, that was a great scene. And yeah. And then the scene where Pinocchio was in the birdcage when the Blue Fairy asked Pinocchio why he didn't went to school. She went to school. Why didn't Pinocchio went to school? When Pinocchio was in the birdcage, and I'll rephrase it. I kind of messed up, but when Pinocchio was in the birdcage, and when Pinocchio was in the birdcage, and the Blue Fairy asked Pinocchio why didn't he went to school, and Pinocchio lied, and his nose grew. We pretty much know the story of Pinocchio. When he lies, his nose grows. So yeah, that's a lesson. I wouldn't say a lesson, but we all know the story. I figured I'd include that scene because why not? But anyways, and the Pleasure Island scene. Okay, now the Pleasure Island may seem like a fun place at first. But then later on, it gets like turns into like a ghost town. Like, like Pleasure Island, like, Pleasure Island, where they let all the boys like smoke cigarettes, which we shouldn't be smoking cigarettes, which these boys shouldn't be smoking cigarettes. Like, yeah, smoking cigarettes can be a pretty bad thing. I honestly don't plan on smoking cigarettes during my lifetime. I absolutely do not want to smoke cigarettes during my lifetime. I do not. So yeah. Why not? Like I said, for the record, I do not want to smoke. For the record, I don't plan on smoking cigarettes anytime soon. It could be dangerous. So yeah, I do not plan on smoking cigarettes. But anyways, we're getting off topic. I figure I want to include that, but yeah. Pleasure Island, they let the boys smoke cigarettes. Like, really? And yeah, and while around 2014 or 2015, Disney has banned smoking in their movies. Yeah. Disney has banned smoking from their movies. Like, this film, they have smoking in, like, this film, Peter Pan, and 101 Dalmatians, and a few others. But, yeah. Yeah, Disney has banned smoking in their movies, which, that's kind of a good thing, because, to keep children safe. Yeah. Kids, if you're watching this, if you're watching this video, please do not smoke. It is dangerous. So yeah, that's kind of why Disney has banned smoking in their movies. So yeah. I mean, this film came out in 1940, so yeah. Yeah, it took years to realize that Disney think that they should protect children from smoking, keep children safe. So yeah. So that's kind of a good idea that Disney had banned smoking from their movies. So yeah. And then now back to this film. So yeah, and then meanwhile, when those boys smoked those cigarettes, and they even make those boys to make them be bad kids, and then later on they all turn into donkeys, probably from smoking those cigarettes and drinking that root beer. Like, yeah, and it's a pretty, when they were all turned into donkeys, the scene where they all turned into donkeys, it was sad. The scene where the donkey scene in this movie is really sad. Like, those boys just wanted to go home, back to their moms, and they were all sad. It was so sad. That was a really sad scene. The scene where all the boys turned into donkeys. That was sad. But yeah, then the ending scene and the scene where Pinocchio reunited with Geppetto, that was a great scene. And the ending where Pinocchio became a real boy, that was a great scene too. So, yeah. Yeah. So those are the scenes I can think of off the top of my head. So yeah. Yeah, now let's talk about the songs. When You Wish Upon a Star, that was a great song, and I have to say Cliff Edwards did a great job singing that song. You know, Jiminy Cricket sung that song. When You Wish Upon a Star is one of the most iconic Disney songs. You know, we first heard that song in this film, and then we also heard that song again in the short film, the 2023 short film Once Upon a Studio, which, you know, the scene where all the characters were singing When You Wish Upon a Star. And yeah, I already reviewed on Once Upon a Studio a while back. Now I am reviewing on Pinocchio. So yeah. Yeah, yeah, When You Wish Upon a Star is a beautiful and one of the most iconic Disney songs. Little Wooden Head was another great song, so is Give It With a Whistle and Hi Dee 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 Dee. And of course, I Got No Strings. I Got No Strings is another great song. All the songs in this movie were great. So yeah, those are all the songs, and now, and yeah. And yes, and also this film does have a live action remake that came out on Disney Plus in 2022. That was directed by Robert Zemeckis, and it starred Tom Hanks as Geppetto. Which, I'm gonna be honest, I kind of enjoyed that remake. To be honest, I know not many people didn't like the remake to this film, but I personally liked it. I don't know, maybe because I'm a huge fan of Tom Hanks. I don't know. I guess I was a little. I think I'm way too kind to this film, but to the live action remake, the Robert Zemeckis remake, and yeah, I kind of was. My brother said, keep telling me, I'm way too kind to this movie. So, yeah. Yeah, in my opinion, the live action remake for Pinocchio was pretty good. The 2022 Robert Zemeckis live action remake that starred Tom Hanks. So, yeah. Yeah, if you guys don't like the remake, I respect your opinion. But, yeah. Yeah, Pinocchio. Now, back to the original classic from 1940. So anyways, the original Pinocchio, like I said, has great animation, great story, great characters, great songs. Everything about this film is wonderful. This is a really wonderful movie. And yeah. Yeah, so anyways, that's all I can say about Pinocchio. So anyways, I'm gonna give Pinocchio a 10 out of 10. There are absolutely no flaws with this film. Just like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This film has absolutely no flaws. Like I said, I gave it a 10 out of 10. No flaws with this film. And also I can say about this film has like a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, that film was so good, was really good. So yeah. This film is, like I said, this film is an absolute classic. Great classic from 1940. This is an all-time classic. Anyone can agree. But yeah. So anyways, that's all I can say about Pinocchio. So anyways, that is it for my movie review on Pinocchio. And stay tuned for my next movie review, which will be on Fantasia. But until then, see you in the next video. Bye.